evening. I am Camille Nash, and welcome to the Bullpen. So, listen, here in the Bullpen, we talk everything media, ministry, money, and the marketplace. And from time to time, we may even throw in a little bit of music. So, if you've been on this journey with me for any length of time, you know that I have this affinity for whales. I'd love to tell you that it's because of some melodic tune in the background where the violins are playing. I'd love to tell you that's how it was birthed, but no, it was actually created out of my own experience. I love to look at it like a way to kind of turn things around. And when it comes to whales, the reason why I call it the bullpen because the male whale is called a bull. You get it? That said, over the last few years, I've sat in many rooms, boardrooms, courtrooms, and tons of social media rooms, and really just got tired of hearing men attempt to tell women how to live their lives and what that should look like, and women attempting to tell men how they should live their lives and what that should look like. So I thought, why not create a space of my own where I could invite men from all over the world to come in and talk to other men and share with them how to rise above the ashes, out of the ashes in some cases, and above the vicissitudes of life, and show them what it really looks like to be and live a life that is whole, healthy, alive, and not only surviving, but thriving, which is why we have this place. So tonight, I have, there's been a number of episodes we've had up until now. We've been talking this entire season all about Black excellence. And I'm proud to say I'm a Black woman. And really, which leads me to our episode tonight. There is a gentleman that I met many years ago. Well, maybe not that many, but a few years ago. And he really made an indelible impression on my life, even in that very short time of interaction. And I know that he's been making waves all over this world. And I don't say that lightly just to be saying making waves. He's really been a person that really makes a major impact in every person's life that he comes in contact with. And what I love most about him, not only is he so humble, but he continues to raise the bar, raise the standard. And I like to say, for the very first time in my life, I get the privilege to identify having a conversation with a king. You heard me right. Roll it back. If you were getting ready to leave the station, you come right back. I said a king. So I get the privilege, I get the distinct honor to present to some and share with others. I am going to welcome to the platform tonight, Your Highness, King Dr. Clyde Rivers.
Man, thank you so much for having me, Camille. This is truly a privilege.
Well, I got to tell you, it is all mine, and it's truly my honor. There's so much I want to say about you. I just couldn't wait any longer. I wanted to get into the conversation so we could talk about it, and really, more importantly, share with our audience how they can grab hold to some, if not all, of what you're going to share tonight to really change their lives one step at a time. So first, King, should I call you King, or is it okay if I call you Dr. Clyde?
Hey, you can call me whatever you want.
We're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. I'm going to say King, a king of world civility. So first, let's talk a little bit about Dr. Clyde Rivers. Tell us a little bit about who you are in your own words, and what you expect to gain out of this conversation tonight, or even more so, what our audience should expect to gain.
You know what the audience will gain out of this is when you follow God, it's unlimited. I grew up special education in Victorville, California, rode a short bus to a special school, and now I'm the development king in Ghana, West Africa. So I can tell everyone watching, with God, all things are truly possible. So I don't care where you're at today. When you talk to God and ask him to make you what he intends you to be, and then you walk through the process when it's ugly, when you're out there alone, when there's no guide, and you keep walking and take steps, he'll bring you into a beautiful destiny. So I'm here to tell everyone, I don't care if you start off on a short bus, you can end up at a throne. Thank you.
God. My God. My goodness. I mean, so when we talk about your early years, thank you so much for sharing that. I love the way you describe it, that it was, a different experience. When you look back over your life and just stepping back into what was happening in your foundation. Uh, who who and how did your family make and help mold you into learning more about who you really are despite life circumstances?
Yeah, I was very fortunate. I had a real great family. I was a Division I basketball player. So sports became a catalyst of my life. The University of Utah is where I played Division I basketball. So what happened is that actual sports created a different mindset in me of how to overcome to be the best. And I had a
Absolutely.
good family that supported me. But what happened was, it was the various institutions, uh, the education institution that had put me as a special learner. And you
Hmm.
know, I wasn't, in my opinion, I wasn't special. I thought different.
I
So,
like.
so I really
Mhm.
believe that at times our education paradigms don't account for different learners, and they have to put a box on you that fits
Mhm.
within their equation, but not God's equation.
But not God's equation. I'm still trying to grapple with the fact that I heard you say you were a basketball player for a Division I team. That's not
Yeah,
easy to
University of
do.
Utah.
That's not easy to do. Division I. I know what that means. My son played Division I football. That's not an easy thing to do. So when you look at, well, first of all, how did you find basketball, or how did basketball maybe find you?
You know, I was one day I was playing, and they asked me to be a part of a park and rec team, and I was always tall. So I started playing and I was good at it. So once I found I was good at it, I committed my life to be good at it. So that was the
Mm.
only sport I played from the fifth grade until I graduated from Utah.
So what does that look like? I know everybody have a different definition of being good. There's a great book, you probably read it, by Jim Collins, that talks about being going from good to great. So you already had a thought process, or your thinking life was all about being great. So what did greatness look like for you even at that age,
You
at the
know
very
what?
beginning?
Man, that's a great question, because I see many people nowadays that are jack of all trades. And
Hmm.
at the top, when you're kings, we don't want jack of all trades. We want masters of one. So what
Mm.
I did when I found basketball, I said I want to be one of the best scorers. So at my high school, I still hold the scoring record, but I practiced every single day. I
Wow.
practiced every day. Every day I have to put up 100 shots. So I,
Mm.
I created that discipline in my life, and it carried me as I got older, and it's carried me in my life today.
Mm.
Discipline, discipline and mastery is what people are looking for, because we're
Mm.
in a world today of a new era of consciousness,
Yeah.
and this is where we are. And you have to specialize now and not be a jack of all trades.
I love that when you talk about the importance of being a specialist, because that's really what we're talking about, not being a generalist, as I would probably identify it, like wanting to have your hands in so many different areas. And I know that you have accomplished and overcome, and not only have you overcome in a lot of areas, but you've actually had your hand in a lot of areas. What does it take, or what does it look like for a person to get laser focused, to only zero in on that one thing? And I want to really dig into that and helping people
Yeah, yeah,
find it.
yeah. That's really good. When you have this is when you have a God focus, or just a focus in general,
Mhm.
because there are people that win in life that follow God's principles, but not necessarily God.
Uh,
And what it means to me is this,
mm, mm, mm,
man. If people can catch this,
mm,
when you start on a journey, it's every day. It's that step. It's
yeah.
just a new step towards the goal every day. And when you activate faith by the step, you activate faith, because we walk by faith. So when you walk one day, another door opens for the third day, another
Mhm.
door opens for the fourth day. So as you're walking these actual steps out, and also, Camille, it's important that we understand this. Never pay your way out of your trials. Get the information in it. because it's a pillar for your next step.
Never pay your way out of your trials. I absolutely love that, because that's your foundation. That trouble is your foundation, right?
Absolutely.
So if
Absolutely.
never try to buy your way out of that. So if you're sitting in it and you embrace it, I love what you said about it, about harnessing it. So now that you're in it, then when it comes to actually taking those steps, and I know Dr. Clyde, you have you've made some tremendous steps, and they've not always been easy. You know, people always see our glory and not know our story, right? They don't know what it was like for you when you were, you know, a young person and having that experience, as you said, on the bus, and also really in being an athlete. I've raised a couple athletes. I know, had my own little stint as an athlete too, and I know that it gives you something, an additional grit, I like to call it, that you just don't get any other way. But people come as spectators to watch the game, but they're not playing in the game. So how do you, as a king, I love, you know, just really harnessing in on being a king means that you're going to keep a focus in one designated area. It's not that you can't do other things, but in order for you to be great, which is who God has called us to be, is to be great in the earth and to multiply. How do you really get singular in your focus, or get granular in your focus to be great? Because we can't do it alone. So how do you connect with the right people to be able to do that?
You know, Camille, that's a great question. Let me tell you what I was teaching last night.
Okay.
To be number one is not as difficult as people think. To be number one, you have to know the 99 other things you're not an expert at. You find one niche, stay with it. When people ask you about other parts, that's not my narrative. My narrative is kindness and respect for all of humanity. So what happens when I found my number one, what I did, I that's my focus. So now I don't have to do everything or answer all the questions. I only answer questions for what's my specialty. Then here's another thing. If you want to be a true pioneer of change, you have to verbally engineer social change. You have to create a new way of saying what you say, to where it'll distance you from the crowd. Every single social change, there was a verbal engineer behind the culture and the concept.
Oh my goodness, that sounds so heavy, Dr. Clyde. So, what does that look like? You're saying, you're really saying to change your languaging, right? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes,
Your
yes,
language.
yes.
When I think about civility, and we're going to get more into the civility, and I'll have you explain to our audience how does a person change your language?
You know what it is this. Like I have a gentleman, one of my clients. He wants to write. He wants to create a new concept for the prophetic ministry. So what I told him, I said, your language, because here's the importance, Camille, is this: words get tired. When a word gets tired, it has
Okay.
no more meaning to the like listener. So people have to understand when their vocabulary is tired. So this guy came at me with my prophetic ministry. I said, no. I said, why don't you establish a new concept called seer linguistics? What is that? You're an actual man, prophetic seer. So you're creating a new language for strategy. Now, if you said, I'm a prophetic ministry, or I have a business called Seer Linguistics that will help you strategize and refocus your narrative. So you see, I just verbally engineered. This is what I do as a consultant for people. I help them re-engineer what they're saying, because when a language gets tired, nobody listens to it. So that's why
My,
when you speak, I'm sorry, Camille, when you speak in a paradigm, like to me, a tired word now is transformation. It's been said so much with no transformation. It's a tired, that word's taking a nap.
the word that's taking a nap. It's sleep. My
Sleep.
God. Well, listen, I don't know if you all are catching it, but I'm catching it all. I'm catching everything you're putting down. Language, my goodness, words get tired. So,
Yes.
I know you've had some mighty mentors in your life. I know none of us ever are able to do anything on our own, but I do believe that God will give us something specifically that He designs for us if we ask Him for it. So, when you talk about the word transformation being tired, I couldn't agree with you more. And I know Shawan's, I know our director's probably in the background clapping, the engineers, everybody else is probably clapping too. I want to ask you, what would be a good word to replace it?
See, a transformation, I would call it, and see, this is part of my gift. I'd call it active motion positive. Active motion, because, and watch this here. Let me tell you what one of my goals is if you understand in the scriptures, Hebrews 11:3 says the world was framed by the word of God, so that things that are seen were not made of things which do appear. If you do a word study on that, it means at specific times and dispensations, the people had a word from God that radically changed their generation. So what happens, everything I do, I think in terms of this is what people fail to understand. The one that controls your validation is the one that owns your tomorrow. So I create my own words, and then I become the one that makes it valid. So I help people create a new philosophy that they own. So when you own validation, you own the word, you own the world. And that's why the one thing that we don't own is validation. We have to go to an institution for validation, and then they control your narrative. So as a king, I'm like, no, as a king, I control my narrative. You don't tell me what to do. I have the most powerful word in my kingdom. Whatever I say, they have to do. So now we are controlling narrative. We are verbally engineering social change. And that's what we do.
My goodness. Listen, if I could get up and run, I would run right now. And those of you that know, you know what that means. I would really run. And when we talk about reshaping our words, and not only reshaping our words, but identifying a new word and what we answer to is what I'm hearing
Yes.
from what it said. And I know that you're a consultant. You're mighty at this with multiple countries all over the world. And when it comes to you and what you've been able to do, I know a little bit about you. We have a little kindred spirit about fighting for the underdog. I've always been an advocate for the underdog. So I know that you are too. And when it comes to you being in this space now where you are and sit as a king, what did it look like to get you to this place? Because you were doing some other things before this opportunity was availed to you at the designated time because you were ready. But there were some other things that you were doing that led up to this time.
Yeah, you know what? This is what I tell people. When there's a biblical principle that you can't outrun. When you're faithful over little, I pastored a small church in Victorville for 16 years. It wouldn't get past 30 people. Now watch this. And it didn't get past that number of people because I was looking for validation by numbers. Numbers are what I was looking for that would have made me valid. So God in his wisdom gave me 30 people, and at the point when the world opened to me, I loved those like 30 people more than fame. And then he took me and said, now I'm going to make you the honorary ambassador at large for the country of Burundi, Africa. So I went from 30 people to being the honorary ambassador for 10 million. So this is what I tell people. Your stewardship leads to rulership. If you don't steward right, you will never rule right. So God watches your stewardship. The next step, when you're faithful over little, here's a principle. Faithful over little, the next step is not intermediate. It's not an intermediate step. It's faithful over little, ruler. So see, you go from steward to ruler in one day. In one day. But it was a long day because God trained you. Steward
Right.
to ruler.
Right. Steward to ruler. My goodness, that ought to be a t-shirt. My goodness. My goodness. My goodness. My goodness. And we got Bible to back it up. So when we look at some of the remarkable things that you've done, and I know we won't be able to go into all of them, but a lot of it I will certainly share with you all and make it available to you all once our conversation is complete, so you all can go back and research our king even more thoroughly. Let's switch gears for a little bit and talk about civility and how did you come to this place of civility. And so wait a minute, before I do that, before we go into get into the civility piece, you were actually a pastor for
Yes.
16 years, over 30 people, and the
Yeah.
number would not grow. God would not allow it to multiply.
Went to every conference, listened to everyone, and one of my personal mentors was Dr. Miles Monroe. So I had the
Okay.
privilege of working with Dr. Miles, because being a pastor wasn't my high call, but it was the highest call in spirituality in the form of religion. Now, when you talk kingdom, it's governance. So see, this is what I tell people. Jesus is not the king of a religion. He's the ruler of the world. So this is why he says, when you seek his kingdom first, that's government. That's not church. That's not church. When
Come
you seek the
on.
kingdom first, says all these things will be added, because the real kingdom is about governance. And I can tell you, I've been an ambassador for 15 years and a king for 2. So I can tell you the difference. When you're a king, you have every subject. You can have Christian, Muslim, Buddhist, witch doctor in your kingdom. And you're a king over everyone. So guess what? God's the king of the whole world. Everybody, not just the ones that talk like you and walk like you.
Right. King of
So
kings.
yeah, okay. I'm sorry. He's
King
king.
of kings. No, you go. Keep going. He's the King of
Okay.
kings and the Lord of lords.
He's
Yeah.
the king of every single person. This is how I re-engineered the conversation. I said God created 8 billion people, and they all have a unique contribution to this world. And when we lose one, we lose their contribution. So Jesus is the only way to the kingdom, but he's not the way to religion. So people hate to say that. He didn't create a door. He didn't create a door for you to venture off into religion. He's so now that I'm a king, I'm the world civility leader. I bring the influence of God. I sit there, I bring the influence of God. So the kingdom is really about influence. Can you influence and can you create culture? So what I see with a lot of people, they're author, coach, and speakers. I'm going, that's good. I'm like, guys, ladies and gentlemen, can I tell you, I'm gonna put author, speaker, coach, and find out where you come up in the Google. You don't exist in that realm over Google. So what do? You have to repackage yourself at least 3 times in life. You have to make yourself over for the next season. And most people ride a horse that's dead and think if you put more gas or give it more water, it's not gonna walk anymore. It's dead. So you have to re-engineer yourself at least 2 to 3 times, and you have to verbally engineer it correctly.
So I love what you said about the re-engineering, and I believe culture will say that that's reinventing yourself. But again, we're talking about words. We're talking about changing words here and creating new words. That that's oil. That's oil to my engine right there.
Yeah.
So, I'm telling you, I'm catching it. So when we look at it, like renaming, and I know a lot of that is your call. It's a lot of the gift that God has in you. When it comes to the renaming for a person or for a role or position, what does that really look like? So a person has to obviously get real with themselves, right? They have to maybe even uninstall and throw out some of the old, or throw it all
Yes.
out, start over, right? Would you say that that's necessary to strip down the bare bones, then start again? Is that what it should look like? Or would a person, as they strip down, then look to connect with folks that can help them recreate?
Yeah. What I think the see, the whole world is framed by words. The entire world is framed by words. I remember I was talking with a king, and we talked about what do words create. Words create culture.
Yeah.
So what happens? Think about when a law is passed, a culture is created. Civil rights. The first day it passed, it didn't look right, but it was civil right. It was civil wrong, but when it hit the law, it became civil right. So now you look at equity, you look at when it started to now right is looking more right than it did when it was civil and it wasn't right.
Y'all hear that? I hope you all are picking that up, because that is it in a nutshell. So when we look at you, I have to ask you, what is it that helped you get to this place? I know none of us ever get anywhere alone. Who was it outside of Dr. Miles Monroe? We know that he was a huge influence in your life. What was it, or who was the person, or what was the turning point that allowed you to rediscover this path, or discover this path?
Man, this is, I would find people that were winning and I would pursue what they did. Because many times, if you don't have access to get close to a person, how do you do it? I would find God would put mentors in my life, and I would never meet them at times, but I would buy all their stuff, all their tapes, and you see what I did, and this is a mistake that people make. They try to become their mentor. No, get the piece you need from the mentor. Get the piece, not become them, because what happens when I was the special advisor for the president of Burundi as the ambassador for 15 years, he said, never bring me a person that has another person's name on their t-shirt. I went to this guy. He said, look, he says, I can get the guy with the t-shirt. I can get him. So I don't need you to be a copy of him. So let me tell you what happens. And this is one of my big fights now, is who talked us out of our uniqueness, and who actually formed us into them and make us think. So what pushed me was no one ever thought what I was doing was valid. So I always had to prove valid. I'm not proving anything to you. This is who I am. I'm doing what God called me to do. So I'm not looking for your approval, but people are trained that I have to have this. No, you don't. When you're a true pioneer, a first fruit, you have to get it from heaven. You have to cook it up. You have to paint the picture. You've got to do everything. There's a difference between a pioneer, a true pioneer, and a settler. A true pioneer has to live off the God revelation, because he's giving you something unique that's never been seen. So you have to have a walk with God in order to build it. Now, here's the problem that I see with a lot of people, Camille, is this. When they want the profits without the lesson. They want the profits without the lesson. They want to make $1 million day one. Well, we all do, but that's not feasible. And if you don't build it, when it crashes, you can't build it again. Okay, so when you have to remanufacture what you're doing, and maybe this component is now not the component. Now maybe this is, you still have this that you can build, and this, and now you verbally engineer the next level. Like I have a client I just helped. He created a concept for not interculture conflict. He created intraculture. It's called gapcology. Who built the gap in your not intra culture? So you see, and what? So we creating a new language. That's the way to win in life.
So good.
Yes, go ahead.
No, you keep going. That's so good. So really, from what I'm hearing from you, you're really taking the word of God and allowing God's word to breathe on you, and to breathe through you as you consult and work with other people all around the world. And when you look at the amalgam of people that you have been able to touch, and lives, and even not just businesses, but government, the various aspects of government that you've been able to infiltrate and bring God with you. Let God lead, of course, allow God to lead, and God brings you with him. Uh, in the midst of all that, where does the civility, how does civility play a big part in that? And also the golden rule.
Yeah. The part of civility I created is kindness and respect for all of humanity. Now, civility is etiquette. The word's etiquette,
Mhm.
but I re-engineered it.
Yeah.
I said kindness and respect for all of humanity. Why?
Why?
You are my solution. You right now are my vehicle. You're a solution for me getting this message to the masses. I'm a
Hmm.
solution for you because
Hmm.
hopefully people will like this and watch you. So just imagine God made no mistake with 8 billion people. When we lose one life, what contribution was lost? So this is why I had to re-engineer what justice looks like and the reason for it.
Yeah.
You may hate people in this. I had a gentleman one day. He said, Dr. Rivers, I won't give the country's name. He said, I hate people from this country. I said, great. I said, well, okay, why don't you give back all their contributions to the world? Take everything that's made in that country, take it out of your house, and tell me if you don't need people that you hate.
Hmm.
So he goes, I got to take half my house out. So yes, so you really love those people because what they're producing is giving you comfort.
Hmm.
So different scenario. He's going, oh, I never thought about that. Well, if you hate them, if they weren't here, you wouldn't have 80% of your home.
Yeah.
So I go, look,
Exactly.
you have to revalue the currency of God is people intellect. What
Mm.
he's assigned them to do, nobody can stop them. And this is why
Mm-mm.
I watch all these people that patent everything and run. I go, guys, great. Find the one that's designed for it. Find the one
Mhm.
that is. I've had people steal my ideas, and
Mhm.
but guess what? But they have to come back because they weren't given the patent from God to carry it. So that patent doesn't stop me. It only
Yeah.
hinders them because they are limited. And I'm smart enough, I'll create a new way of saying it. And because I'm the pioneer, they'll follow me.
Right. Exactly. Because God gave you the download. And that's the part I think we missed. You said that the word you thought was overused was transformation. I think the word that's overused is purpose. Because God still, he uses, you just said it, he uses us all differently. The body is made up of many members, but each body part has a different responsibility, a different role, and we need all the parts. At least that's the goal, right? And with that being said, do you find that that folks are still trying to emulate what they see other people doing rather than just finding their own course? Do you see a lot of that?
Absolutely.
And how do you redirect it?
You know what? I created a new word for actual purpose. You know what it
Okay,
is?
well, let's hear it. What we got?
I mean, re-lens. I'm gonna re-lens my future.
Re-lens, like a lens, like as in your eye.
Yes,
Ah,
I'm gonna
re-lens.
re-lens my future. I'm gonna
Mm,
re-lens purpose.
re.
I'm gonna look at it differently. I'm gonna
Yeah.
re-lens my future. I'm gonna re-lens my purpose. I'm gonna
Hmm.
re-lens
Yeah.
this because you're no, that's what I use for I mean
For
focus.
focus.
I'm
Okay, I
gonna
see that.
re-lens.
Re-lens. I see
So
that definitely.
so what happens? What's the word re-lens me? It's a do-over. I'm gonna
It's a
re-lens it.
good again. Yeah, I'm gonna
I'm
redo
gonna
it.
I'm gonna relook at scenarios because I was just in Hayward, California a couple weeks ago,
Mm-hmm.
and as I was going through San Francisco, San Francisco is almost decimated because the like tech industry's moving out and the AI industry's moving in.
Yeah.
So what happens? I go, look, tech words will not be valuable in an AI industry. So and then what comes after AI? AI will come, AI will be it for a minute, and then it'll fail, and then there'll be another relens. because God will relent ideas. So what happens, I tell people, this is when you connect with God. God is not a religious guy just sitting up there watching you do good or bad and go, that's a good one, great. That's a bad up there. No, God is helping you. And guess how you learn? Through your struggles. Camille, I remember I got an actual prophetic word. It said, you are a first fruit never seen before. I ran around, yay. Guess what that meant? For never seen before means you're disrupting old systems with what's never been seen. So no one told me about the actual backlash that came. No one told me about how long it takes to paint the picture of a fresh idea. So no one told me that. So I was like, yay. Well, now I understand that when you get a word like that, like you're a pioneer, you will be disruptive. You will have to, you will create a new ideology. So this is why I have all these people that look to the powers that be. And I'm not putting anyone down. When you look at sports, certain coaches have a season of rain to where a kid can handle their coaching. Now at the next level, you got to have a coach prime. You got to have prime with the DJ in the locker room, speaking, doing it. Hey guys, you know, with the kids high five and doing that, but also structure and discipline. So now that old coaching is dead. That guy, come here, and you got to run up. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You know, great. I understand that, but that model of coaching is changing because a generation changed. And when a generation changed, you can't hit them with what worked in a prior generation. Who are we today?
Yeah, and what I love that you brought up Coach Prime, and with you being a former athlete at the, obviously competing at a high level, he brought God in. That's the difference. Now he might have brought in some other music. that would connect with the young folks, but he still allowed God to lead, and he still allowed God to be his wings, be his breath. And despite what the challenges would be, and you bring up a good point also, and when it comes to the vicissitudes of life, a lot of folks will throw that word around with wanting to be a disruptor, or like you said, seeing things differently, or seeing it again and getting a new order, or getting new orders on how to actually execute that, not realizing, counting up the cost. That's the first thing that comes to my mind when I think about the scripture that talks about counting up the cost. What's it really going to cost you to do this? When it comes to a lot of what you've been able to do, and the lives that you've been able to change, beginning with your own, to what degree has it cost you?
Man, everything. Everything to remain who I am, unique. Many times, mentors, Dr. Monroe gave me a great mentorship advice. He says, only answer questions people are asking. Don't answer questions they're not. Because then when you get into that, now there's things you don't like and you want to change. And now you pull the God gift out of them with what you may personally not like. So what I've done is I help people because I don't try to make them me. I'll say, hey, have you considered this? Have you considered this? My cost has been everything because I run ahead with everything full steam ahead. I've lost friends. I've lost tons of money. And you know what? That was my education to God. So this is what I tell people. You can think and grow rich. And I don't mean the book Think and Grow Rich.
Right.
I mean God's ideas. If you think on those ideas, he will give you ideas and he will expand it. So that actual word, because this is what and I don't mean to be for our people. For our people, it's like, man, we can't accept the bottom stage of success and think we've been successful. I'm going to speak with you after this here. I have an institution that gave Dr. Burnett and Dr. Moreland an honorary doctorate. You need one from my institution, we will do that for you. You want to know why? Because you've mastered media. You understand it. And there's information in you to where people that look like you need to know this as part of your legacy you leave in the earth. So after we hang up, I'll talk, we'll explain, because this is your season. This is people get, I go, look, I'm all about how do we create tomorrow? We can't, if we mentor people in our fears, they will never thrive tomorrow. So what I am, I'm not a copy of anything. I'm an original. I'm an original, and I fight. I'm an original, and I will fight. I will fight. I will fight for other people to be original until we walk in rooms and we're looked at as equals and not who are those guys? And that's any room in any country. I'm a number one. I'm an African. I'm a number one. I'm African American. I'm a number one.
Now, you know, you have my heart going pitter patter over here. I'm just trying to catch it. I'm trying to catch it. But what I want you to do right now is I want you to share with the audience, those that are listening. I'm blown away, you all, right now. But I do want Dr. Clyde to share with you all, what does it really look like to understand that you have the power within you as one?
Man, you know what? It's please, if I can encourage you, your God idea is not wrong. Your God idea is the force that will sustain your life. And following God's idea, it's going to morph and build into different things. And let me tell you this, your training doesn't have to look like your assignment. God trained you for stewardship. Who would think a small church in Victorville, California would prepare me to be a senior advisor, honorary ambassador for a president of another country that's not my own? So when you get to the next level, God equips you for it. So it's not what you bring to the table, it's your stewardship. And he'll add the next layering and give you the information for rulership. So what I see is times many people are looking for stewardship practices, but they're rulers. As a king, I set policy. I make the rules. I create my own stuff for our kingdom. You, as the king of a king, you do those same things. And this is what will set you apart. Your training doesn't have to look like your assignment. So stewardship in this, it doesn't matter. God can take you from a small church to being an ambassador to being a king. So just make sure your stewardship over God's assignments are excellent, and you got this thing.
My goodness. Well, I will say that I hope you all have grabbed hold to that. Dr. Clyde, my goodness, Your Highness, this has really been an incredible opportunity to have you in the bullpen and talk with us straight about really what it looks like to go from operating with a real spirit of stewardship and owning our stewardship, and what it might even look like for us. Not might, but what it could and should look like for us as we rule. I ask everyone this question, and I would love to hear your answer. And that is, there's two things I want to ask you. First, I want to know what lesson took you the longest to learn, and followed by what's coming up next for you.
Yeah, the biggest lesson I took was I needed others. I grew up independent. I wanted to do everything my own self. Wow. And it took me a long time to realize that we are more powerful than me. Huge. I was trying to eat everything, be here, there, business, da-da-da. And no. When you learn, it's we is more powerful than me, then I begin to expand. And what's next is I'm creating the new era of consciousness. What's the world? The world's at a new level of consciousness now. And who's going to be the pioneers of the new consciousness? We will be.
Well, you all heard it here. I hope that you all have been able to grab hold. Don't allow this information to fall on deaf ear. I want to first of all pause and say, Dr. Clyde, King, Your Highness King, Dr. Clyde Rivers. It has been my indeed pleasure and my esteemed privilege to have you in the bullpen tonight. I've learned a lot, and I know our audience has too. And our main mission is not only to keep it to ourselves, but to share it to any and everyone that will listen. So, again, it's been my privilege and my pleasure to have you tonight. And I do look forward to seeing you around again and very soon.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here.
Thank you. All right, you all. Look, I'm trying to keep myself from falling out of the seat over here, and I'm sweating out bullets. I don't know if you all can see it, but I do want to say that it has definitely been a wonderful opportunity to have Dr. Clyde Rivers in our presence today. We have actually dwelled amongst royalty, you all. You all got that? We have dwelled amongst real royalty. And though we do deem and see ourselves as royalty, there's just still nothing like having someone that sits in that seat on a regular basis actually speaking to our lives. So here's my wealth theory for today. Very quickly, I only have a couple, and the main one that stood out for me, and I hope it stood out for you. And there's quite a few, obviously, God ideas. We want God ideas, not just good ideas, because when they're God ideas, they just come out right. They work out right. They flow out right. No matter what it feels like in the moment, it still is going to penetrate the earth. And obviously, the bigger one for me tonight, and I hope it is for you too, and that is stewardship that leads to rulership. So if we're really counting on realizing and honing all of who we are, then we've got to walk in and operate with a huge, great, responsible hand of stewardship and use it to our ability and what God has given us, not take it lightly. So that's my wealth theory for tonight. I want to also remind you, if you've not had a chance to, you see these guests keep getting bigger. Now, you all heard him. That was the first time he said it, the first time I heard it. The guests are going to get bigger. So I'm asking you to make sure you're going over to the bullpen show with me, Camille Nash, the redhead, and get connected to the Facebook group. It's a private Facebook group. You can go on over there and stay connected to all of our guests, those that have already been in the bullpen this whole season, and those that are forthcoming. And I want you to also look at ways where you can actually partner with the bullpen, because I'm telling you, you can see these guests are going to get bigger. I need you to also go on over to YouTube, subscribe, comment, like, put in the chat, put in the comments some of the things you heard tonight, and or even in any of the other shows. Put some comments in there so we know that you're there, and make sure that you have your notifications on so you don't miss not one moment of anything going on in the bullpen. And it's been my pleasure and, of course, my privilege to serve you in this way. Take it all in. Don't let it fall on deaf ear. Take it and run with it. And I will see you in the very next episode of the bullpen. Have a good night.